Good evening,
Good evening,
everybody.
everybody.
Welcome to California Free Radio.
No, I want to do it.
We're going to roll right to Kurt. Let me open up, Kurt, and I'm going to roll right to you here for a second. I want to say, everybody, welcome to California Free Radio. We are streaming hot and streaming live on @NetterMike, @TechSpider7.com. We are on Outraged, our channel. We're on Facebook, going across the ecosphere, and we're on LinkedIn. As you could tell, the three of us tonight, and it's just going to be us three, are extremely fired up like most of you. Well, I'm going to roll right now to Kurt for an opening segment. I want to tell you, you're going to understand after the next hour plus why we do this show. And I want everyone out there to pay attention tonight. It's going to be a different kind of show, not just in honor of Charlie Kirk, but in honor of what he built. We have a lot of, I'm not going to say pent up anger, I'm going to say pent up energy. Kurt, go ahead. You're going to give the opening rant tonight. Scott, take me off for 1 second here.
As everyone probably knows by now who's watching this show, Charlie Kirk was murdered by a criminal on September 10th. An evildoer that decided that he didn't like what Charlie Kirk said, and he was too cowardly to go to an open mic and debate Charlie Kirk. If we look at the history of tyrants and the history of evil, most people have lived under dictatorships. This country was founded in reaction to the abuses of King George III that we're celebrating with the 250th anniversary of the United States. One of the most important freedoms we have is the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech. Why? Because if there's bad ideas, the more free speech you have, the bad ideas are exposed for how bad they are. Charlie Kirk was a father. He was a husband. All he did was want to talk about Jesus Christ and evangelize and talk about free speech. There was nothing evil about what he did. But even if you disagreed with him, there's no justification for shooting someone because you don't like what they say. Instead, debate them. The same thing with us. The same thing with podcasters everywhere. There are rumors that Antifa and other far-left organizations have a list of people like us that they're going to come after. Well, I got news for you people. You will never silence the truth. You will never shut up the truth. No matter how you threaten us after what happened on September 10th, we're done with your threats. We're done with your bullying. We're done with your censorship. We're done with your intimidation. Look at what Byron Donalds said, the congressman, to Rashida Tlaib today. She called him a fascist and the Republicans a fascist, and he tore her apart. Liberals, if any of you are watching this, the days of name calling without a response are over. OVER, over. If you lie about us, we will call you out vigorously. We will debate you, and we will not let you bully and intimidate. There will be a big argument. And if you don't like it, too bad. We are all done with your tactics. When you demonize someone like Charlie Kirk, you let the mentally ill people in your base have a license to commit violence. So you are morally responsible for that violence. We'll argue about what the law is and when someone is an accessory to a crime. And oh, by the way, if you're advocating that people be killed, more and more you should expect to be sued by people like us that are fed up with you and fed up with your behavior and fed up with your nonsense. The fight is now engaged. And if you think that's not going to happen, you are sorely wrong. Now I want to go to the next group of deplorable idiots. The people online that are celebrating the murder of an innocent man with the sorrow that his wife is feeling and with two small children. There is nothing about what you are advocating that makes us want to have bipartisanship, work with you, care about what you say. You are evil and you are advocating evil. And when you do it, we're going to call out what you really are and how you're behaving. And if you don't like it, we don't care. It is reprehensible, the things that we're seeing online celebrating the murder of an innocent man. So if you're engaging in that behavior and you don't understand why people are trying to get you fired from your job, let me explain it to your low IQ self. If I go to a doctor and a nurse, and that doctor or nurse is celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder, and they find out I'm a Republican, how do I know they won't poison me? How do I know they won't give me a drug to make me sick because they hate me? If you're in the healthcare profession, you take a Hippocratic oath. If you're celebrating anyone's death, I don't want you as my doctor. No one can trust you as their doctor. You should be fired by the hospital system, taken off staff, and your patients should all leave. If you're a food service worker, you're in a restaurant. If you're preparing my food and I wear a shirt like this, jobs not mobs, criticizing liberals, how do I know you won't poison my food? I won't go to your restaurant. That's simple. I have rights too. I have a wallet. This is my wallet, liberals. I don't have to spend it with you. Got it? The third thing is if you are in the education area, I don't want you teaching my kids. I don't want you teaching America's kids. You have nothing important to say. If you're celebrating death, we want to fire you from your school and get you out of the education industry. Mike, back to you.
Part of the problem we have today is that we spend a lot of our time, and I'm looking at everybody out there, and of course, 90% of our audience is conservatives. And I'm sure there's 10% out there that maybe liberals watching, and I get comments all the time, is we spend a lot of our time talking about what we've been taught to talk about. And let me explain that. We don't really, when I grew up, when a lot of us grew up, we didn't talk a lot about our colleges and what was being taught. We assumed it was being taken care of. And what the left did is they penetrated from the bottom up. We've talked about this a million times. Things like school boards. Hi, Stephanie. Water boards, the educational system that's coming out today. But what I thought is incredibly fascinating, when you look at the numbers today of people, I'm going to pick on Jimmy Kimmel, which is not that hard to do. The
It's
reality,
a low-hanging fruit. Yes, we understand that.
and by the way, Scott, you can feel free to jump at any time. We're doing a little more free form tonight here. But we talk about Jimmy Kimmel a lot. Jimmy Kimmel did an absolutely disgusting, awful, hideous rant, 100%. But the question that struck me is, who's watching Jimmy Kimmel? Now, Colbert got canceled about 2 months ago, allegedly not for what he was saying, but simply for the fact his show was bleeding cash of $60 million a year. That's because not a lot of people were watching it, because most people, like the people that watch us, want logic. They want to raise, like everything that Kurt just did a great opening rant on. I'm going to repost this again in a couple seconds here, but this, I find some fascinating stats. About last November, Jimmy Kimmel and his staff decided to tell X, where many of you are watching, to put it where the sun don't shine. When Jimmy Kimmel went off X, and he has not posted on there since, because believe me, I tagged him and wanted to get to him, he had about 11 million followers. And he said, I'm going to Blue Sky. And as I put up on my X feed today, Blue Sky, it says, rah, rah, sis, boom, bah, we just had a big user move over. Well, Blue Sky has about 36 million active users before they declined to 13 million. Jimmy Kimmel's show today, the Jimmy Kimmel Show, which is what he calls his feed, has 28,000 followers. His actual show itself, what was it, Scott, we talked about, has something like 1 million a month watching it, and that's 20 shows.
Every month he had 1.1 million. That's down from almost 2 million in January.
Okay, down from 2 million. That's 1.1 million for the month of January. So we've talking about, and we can't stop the narrative. Everybody's going to The Alphabet Soup media is going to put it out there. And again, I don't normally talk about this, but gents, I'm going to pop off a bit. On my X feed, I get 1 million views a week. And I get it. That doesn't mean that 1 million people are watching Mike Netter. But those of you out there, my point is to say, boy, what's wrong with this Netter guy? He incessantly posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, X all the time, because I'm trying to get the message out.
Are you getting paid $20 million a month or a year? I mean,
Well, if I am, they owe me a hell of a lot of money, Scott, because I have not seen the checks, which is another.
that's what Kimmel's getting. He's getting $20 million a year for his
20
paltry
million
viewers.
a year, surrounded by a huge staff. And because he's paid, great point, Scott, 20 million a year, because Colbert makes like 40 million a year, we all assume this is like, we're not watching the stats of their shows. Kurt, you and I talk a lot about baseball, and if you're paying players on your team 40 million a year and can see they're losing a large amount of games, right? You're not going to continue to pay them. Scott, gather this for 1 second, because again, my point is conservatives, everyone out there, you now have the platforms and the abilities to talk about what we want to talk about. Charlie Kirk, who was gunned down, literally had a movement, had a podcast, all kinds of a following that was larger than all late night TV, excluding Fox, got as an aggregate. Yet Charlie Kirk, many people, let's be real, going, who was Charlie Kirk? Why, they know who Kimmel is. They know who The View is. They know who
I heard a great story. I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Go for it.
Just to show you the popularity of Charlie Kirk compared to others. This was shared by the guy who's in charge of the Breitbart website. His name slips my mind. And he's telling a story. He was having dinner with Charlie Kirk and 2 other pretty well-known Fox personalities, anchors, right? It wasn't Sean Hannity. It was, somebody else, but they're one of their anchors. And literally in this restaurant, he said, over the course of the evening, there were 50 or more people that came up and asked for a selfie, not with the Fox News guys, but with Charlie. In fact, they gave their cameras to the Fox News guys and said, would you mind taking a picture of us? I mean, he was so well known. And these guys on the Fox News, I'm sure they're getting paid millions, right? There may not be 20 million, but they're getting paid well. And here's Charlie Kirk. Everybody knew him. Everybody liked him. Everybody wanted a picture with the guy. That's the difference between them and, look at Newsom. Nobody cares about Newsom.
Well, and the difference is, my point being.
Wait a minute, Scott. I've got a question. You mean nobody's going up to Newsom and saying, oh, Gavin, the liar who slept with his campaign manager's wife, can I get a selfie with you? Nobody's doing that?
No, they're probably keeping their distance and wearing a mask.
Here's what I really want the 3 of us to talk about tonight. A weird person assassinated a good person. That happened about a week ago. A weirdo.
Total weirdo. Yes.
Okay.
Now let's call it a spade a spade. He was a gay guy entrapped in the whole LGBTQ trans community and was totally radicalized by Democrats who actually think that you can transition from one sex to another.
Right. But here's the thing. We don't want to let him win, do we, gentlemen?
Absolutely not.
All right. So let me take a step back. We mourn for Charlie Kirk. And we are going to continue to mourn for Charlie Kirk. And again, for everyone out there, if you didn't see, and I talked about this last week, been on stage with Charlie Kirk, didn't know him very well, was in the green room with him as a young man. Very strange experience for me. But Charlie Kirk would say, keep your eye on the ball. And for those of us out there, as we heard Newsom rant today about Jimmy Kimmel, Scott and Kurt, again, I beg the question, who the hell was watching Jimmy Kimmel? But Newsom...
Yeah, who are those million viewers?
Fewer and fewer people.
Here's the thing. I want you to really get your arms around this, guys. Remember, I'm a math guy and a speaking body, everybody out there. Oh, wait, and a quick commercial because I'll forget my rant tonight. Tomorrow at the Pineapple Hills Saloon, surrounded by security, I'm going to be on for everybody out there, I'm going to be on the John Phillips show where we're going to be doing it live from the Pineapple Hills Saloon, 12 to 3. And I recommend that you tune in the show, pay attention to that rather than what Gavin Newsom is saying, because one of the things we're going to be talking about, boys, is going to be Prop 50. And Prop 50, what we
Wait a
need to
second.
do.
What's Prop 50?
Mike, is on 50 ads. There's been a lot of yes on 50 ads that are totally dishonest. Why don't you talk about those?
Okay, well, yes on 50 is Newsom's redistricting scam. It's a sham of a sham of a sham. But you know why Prop 50 might pass?
Prop 50, just for those who don't remember, is Newsom's scam to take the redistricting back from the voters in the independent commission and let the politicians draw the lines in an effort to get 5 more Democrats in the state. So there will be 47 to 5 or 46 to 4 Republican majority.
And
sorry,
Scott and
Well,
Kurt,
maybe.
hold on. Before we don't even get into the weeds on this, we'll get into that in a second. Kurt, these are all the things I want us to keep an eye on. Here's really the scoreboard for everybody. While we're paying attention to Gavin Newsom ranting and raving about Jimmy Kimmel, or we're paying attention to Gavin Newsom doing this, what's Gavin counting on starting October 4th, not November 4th, it's November 7th, I'm sorry. The election starts October 7th, the ballots come out.
For those that don't know, Prop 50 is on the ballot this November. And by the way, the ballots get mailed out October 4th.
And what's Gavin Newsom counting on?
He's hoping that no one thinks or remembers there's an election, and he's going to get his guys to vote, and he's going to walk away with a win.
Which means for everyone out there, I really want you to understand the power that this show has, that you, by watching it, sharing it, the power you have in social media. I want to make this very succinct and simple numbers. Again, I'm kind of a math guy, so I want to make this simple for everybody out there. Gavin Newsom is counting out of 18 million voters that the turnout will be about 5 million. And that he will win, albeit slightly, because the turnout will only be 5 million. Before you out there go, how is that possible? Scott and Kurt, in the gubernatorial primary and a year when we schedule elections, what is the turnout for the governor's race? I've talked about this before. This is a test of the emergency memory system.
Less than half.
It's
less
7
than
million.
half.
Is less than half. Well, that's a pretty open
About
answer.
40%.
It's not 40%. It's about, I'll give you even the 40. It's 7 million. And that's when we know we have an election scheduled, and that's the primary.
How many people showed up in the recall election?
In the recall election, we had about 10 million, 11 million show up, and we pubbed the heck out of it, and they purposely moved it. But let's put that down for hold on 1 second here. 2 million Republicans didn't vote in the recall election.
Enough to allow him to win, defeat the recall. Hey, this is one of these things that, in the memory of Charlie Kirk, this is an anti-democracy type of a proposition. And this is where you've got a blue state with 3/4 of the legislature and the governorship and practically every judge's office. They're all blue. They're all Democrats. This is where we take back the state. This is where we say, stop. We're not allowing this anymore. You can't do that. And there's a lot of they've already done some polling. A lot, especially the non-party preference, the independents, have really not taken a position of it, mainly because most people don't know about it. But they're not in there to vote for Gavin, right? Gavin is going to have a tough time portraying this as being anti-Trump, although he's going to try. He's saying that Trump's taken over Texas, therefore I'm going to do this so that we even the scales. We fight fire with fire, is what he said the day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Here's what I want everybody out there to understand, though. In the polling, even Scott and Kurt, that they do, and this is going to, I don't want to give either one of you older guys, including me, a heart attack. Hi, Deborah. Deborah, you especially, I'm glad you're online tonight, too. Everybody chime in. Most people lie in the polls and say they're going to vote. How likely are you to vote? And I study these polls. Here's the reality of it. Will you really have an impact? And I want to tell you this again. And I'm little old Mike Netter. I'm not bigger than I'm making myself out to be. I'm a schmuck that got involved in recall. I have 66,000 followers. You can look it up. Yes, I know how to work social media. Blah, 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 blah. I've been on radio and TV. Whoopee-dee for me. Most people outside my household, even though some of the ones I live with, barely recognize me. But I bust my butt every day. And because of that, I get 1 million views a week. Now, if all of you out there just take and repost the posts that I put up, Scott puts up, Kirk puts up, that are no on 50, we can actually swing. If little old Mike Netter, getting littler and older by
Especially the
the
old
day,
part. Well,
yes,
maybe the little part. Too.
both of it, getting littler and older by the day, can gander 1 million views a week on just X. If little old Mike Netter can gander a lot of connections on LinkedIn, which is about 20, and multiply them out. On Facebook, everybody listening tonight on Facebook, we have 160,000 people in our Facebook groups, one per county. We have to get people out to vote. If all together we can get 1 million more people out to vote, it's not that big a number. It is less people than slightly more people that even watch Jimmy Kimmel. But we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel because that's what the left wants us to do. We can't control that, but we can control what we talk about. They want us to notice these things and not notice that there's an election going on. We need to save Prop 13. They don't want us to notice that they're chipping away at it. Scott, Kurt, which one of you intelligent guys, oh, never mind, which one of you guys sent me the article tonight about SoCal Edison? They're raising their electric rates.
10%.
9%.
Well, 9 and change. They're saying anybody over 500 kilowatt hours is going to pay 9.1 or 9.2% more.
I'm going to assume, as I always make a joke about, that nobody listening to the show by definition is Amish, so you're all using electricity. It goes up continuously because the board that decides if it's going to go up is picked by the governor of California, who is paid off by the utility companies. But they'd rather you talk about The View and Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and all this other garbage while you look around and wonder what happened. All of you tonight are with us. You don't, I get it. You want lawn signs. You want everything else. Magdalena, God bless you. Listen to the radio shows, but get out there and start sharing the information. Okay, and I get tired of hearing sometimes, don't be a keyboard warrior. Be a keyboard warrior. Go out and go to the rallies, do everything else you can. But at the same time, continue to be a keyboard warrior. It doesn't hurt. You have the power in the palm of your hand to get to people and ask them to continue to push it out. And it hits more people than the TV shows that you watch every night or don't watch, because no one is, with the rambling heads. Do you understand that Blue Sky, and it's really weird, a lot of people know what Blue Sky is. I have a lot of leftist friends. Yes, indeed I do. And they're not leftists. They happen to be Democrats. There aren't somebody on Blue Sky. They're on Facebook. They're on X. Yes, they're on LinkedIn because they have jobs. Gentlemen, chime in here.
So Blue Sky was the
The problem,
liberals' comeback, right? When Elon bought X, a lot of them left Twitter and joined Blue Sky. Nobody else is on it. It's all just a liberal insider. Everybody's an attaboy, good boy guy. Anybody that really wants to talk to the people have to go on X. Blue Sky is just for weirdos, wackos. But they exist, and they're incestuous with each other. And some would say that's where guys like Charlie Kirk's killer, kind of get their um, motivation from. But what you're saying is true, Mike. Is that I think Charlie Kirk awakened a lot of the country. In fact, I was very heartened to hear they wanted to get a Turning Point chapter in every single high school and college in the country, which would mean something around 30,000 to 40,000 new chapters, including the high schools. There's 28,000 new high schools totally in the country as it was. So they set a goal of about 15,000 for this year. They were talking about this a couple days ago on Charlie Kirk's podcast, which has still been ongoing with guest hosts. And to date, since his assassination, they've had over 36,000 applications to start new charters in different schools. And so that really heartens me. I mean, we can capture the young, we can turn the generations around. The liberals have been trying to turn the colleges, which I would never waste my money on a college education for my kids today, unless they were going into a technical field like engineering, or I would go to a limited handful of conservative colleges. The rest of them are worth less and expensive, and that's the indoctrination centers of the left. But I digress. Anyway, I am very hopeful that, in like the case of Prop 50, that we're going to have a new army, especially generated by young people from the Turning Point USA and from the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that are going to say enough's enough, and we're going to turn this back. In one generation, we can turn this back to
And I want to stress here too,
conservatism.
right now, and Scott's absolutely correct. In a generation, we skipped a generation. And I'm talking about my generation and your generation and Kurt's generation, because we were busy. We thought other people were paying attention, and apparently they weren't. Right now, and I'm looking at my phone because I just got a flash, the Writers Guild is protesting in front of Disney the shutting down of Jimmy Kimmel's show. There are less people, and God bless, I know people in the Writers Guild, God bless them, but there's less people in the Writers Guild probably throughout the United States, and it pains me to say this, Kurt, than are at the Dodger game tonight. It's not a lot of people, okay?
well, but Mike, there's another phenomenon. These writers who are protesting better find other jobs, because artificial intelligence is going to replace everybody in that industry, where you and I can make a movie and write a script on our own computer in the next few years.
No, I get that. But here's the thing. The only reason we even know that is because the Writers Guild is associated with the people that have the camera, that have the alphabet media. Most of you, your lives are the same. I'm more worried about the grocery workers going on strike, quite honestly, because that's where I get my food. That's a pretty big union. The teachers union is a nasty union. We only know the Writers Guild is protesting because it's the media covering it. So for all of you out there, our theme tonight is we are the media now. I get it. They can't stop the mainstream, the Writers Guild, from the crazy people running around protesting this. What we can do is talk about no on 50. What we can do is talk about the initiatives and propositions that we need to get signed, because we still have a lot of power in our hands. But gentlemen, we're distracted by shiny objects. And may the vengeance of God and the ghost of Charlie Kirk, if you will, come down on these people with the power we have. And we don't let that power go being distracted. And I do it too. Every day I put out a post or a tweet about Gavin Newsom. Gets me a lot of looks, get me a lot of likes. Nobody likes Gavin. I love the Joker picture that you have, Scott. You could put that up for visual entertainment. But at the end of the day, there you go. Everybody loves that picture because no one likes Gavin. He's an easy whipping boy. But here's what we need to do. We need to control our narrative by what we have to say. Scott, hit me with a rant here before I blow a gasket. I'm going off camera for 1 second.
So we've all had a week to kind of digest the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I see a lot of different things happening, and there's a lot of things that I'm very encouraged by. There's other things that are just ticking me off. One of them, Kirk kind of buzzed through at the beginning of the show, and that is the way the media is out there going, oh, of course, we shouldn't have anybody, there shouldn't be violence on either side for political free speech. It's like, well, crap. They're trying to make it sound like it's some equal deal. It's not even close. You look at all the perpetrators. The guy that assassinated Trump or tried to assassinate Trump the second time. The guy that actually assassinated Charlie Kirk. The people that attacked the Annuncian Christian or Catholic school. These people are all liberals. They sit there and they talk about the Minnesota legislature. Oh, we didn't cry when that happened. That wasn't politically motivated. That guy knew these people and had a beef against these people. And yet they try and make it out like it was a political assassination, like that one was from the right, and that's why you guys don't talk about it. Bull crap. All of it is from the liberal side, and we're tired of it. We're not going to put up with it anymore. We're not going to do Antifa, which thankfully, look at what Trump did today. He declared Antifa as a terrorist group. And so they're going to jail. They come out and riot, they're going to jail. And we don't care whether Karen Bass wants to give them sanctuary. We're going to put them in jail. And we're tired of these criminals. Just like what you see now, we have the National Guard in D.C. Now it's going to Memphis at the request of the Republican governor in Tennessee. And we're going to get rid of the crime in Memphis. And we're going to do that city by city. It'll only happen in red states because people like Newsom and Karen Bass like criminals. They like crime. They think it's good. But we're tired of being pushed around and made to feel guilty. One of the other things that I just am so thankful about with Charlie Kirk is that he truly wanted to serve God and do what was right. And he stood up for what was right in the public square. And there's so many churches, there's so many people that are afraid to do that. And he showed us how to have courage, even to the point of death. And I don't think we're going to sit back and be quiet anymore when these guys sit there and challenge our morals and say we're the ones that are out to lunch. They're the ones that are sick.
Well, Scott,
there
were even churches this week where pastors were saying evil, hateful things about Charlie Kirk, which is just unacceptable.
There are, and as far as I'm concerned, the Bible refers to them as wheat, as chaff or weeds in the middle of the wheat, and they need to be gone. They need to be pulled. They need to be gotten rid of. And there's a lot of mainstream churches that have swallowed the LGBTQ crap, and they are not churches of God. They are counterfeits. They need to go away. They already are going away in that they have almost zero membership. You know, even the Boy Scouts, when they started allowing gay scoutmasters and they finally acquiesced to all these demands by the gay lobby, LGBTQ, changed it now from Boy Scouts to Scouts. They allow girls in there. Their membership is dwindling. And as a result of all of the child abuse that's occurred, a lot of it because of homosexuality, the Scouts have had to divest on all of the properties that people have donated over the years. They've had to sell those properties in order to pay the judgments. And the Scouts are going to cease to exist. Trail Life is a fantastic Christian alternative to Boy Scouts. We're starting to see a sea change in our society. Hey, look, I love this example. the Democrats love to shove partisanship and nonpartisanship in our face, right? If it's partisan, especially if it's Republicans winning, it's evil. If it's Democrats winning, it's okay. They don't mention partisanship, but you get two Republicans to vote with those Democrats, and all of a sudden they advertise it as a bipartisan event, right? It's bipartisan approval. It was passed, right? And that's supposed to be good, but that can't be the way it is. It's not. It's kind of like, does God choose partisan sides? He absolutely does, but it's not blue and red. It's evil and good, and we have the evil party, otherwise known as the Democrat Party, and the stupid party, which is the Republican Party. But we have good versus evil. That's what we're coming to. That's what we see with Charlie Kirk. That's what he's brought to the forefront, and we're not going to take this crap from the evil Democrats anymore.
Right. And Deborah,
let's talk quickly about some of the California
hold on.
reaction to Charlie Kirk.
Before we get there, I want to jump in with a couple facts and figures. That's why I was off camera. I've been looking at this all day, and it's almost mind-boggling. Deborah, I agree with you. By the way, Mike Scott says hi back. We do have to be quiet and important in the way that we do it, because we're actually winning. These figures will blow your mind when I'm going to tell you next. And Scott, I'm going to do a little bit of interactive dialogue with you so you get your arms around this, okay? Because again, when we talk about the mainstream, Scott, Jimmy Kimmel, we've talked a lot about Jimmy Kimmel. There's a writer guild right down there, all 25 of them marching around the Disney gate. Good luck getting in. I can't even sneak into Disneyland. Not that I've ever tried. Scott, how many viewers did we say Jimmy Kimmel had monthly?
1.1 he was down to in August. That's the latest numbers.
1.1 million. Now, I'm going to put this in perspective for you here. The chart, and by the way, that 1.1 million, all figures are fuzzy. I'll go back and forth on that for 1 second. Some people lie. You can't really tell if they're watching TV, but I'm going to roll with the 1.1 million. The Charlie Kirk show had approximately 250,000 to 500,000 downloads per day. No, I'm sorry, 500,000 downloads per day, or 10 million people a month watch Charlie Kirk. Yes, there's some duplicity, just like there is whatever, but the figures aren't even in spitting distance. So understand, more people watched Charlie Kirk than watched Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert combined. More people were watching Charlie Kirk than were watching just about, not quite, all three of the evening newses combined, which average about 14 million. So we are quiet. We must be loud in an informative way, but we must be loud. And we get ourselves, Kurt, before you get started on these stories here, that's kind of my point. We don't pay attention to these stories because we're distracted by what we think people are paying attention to. When the reality is, Scott, there are way more people that go to Christian churches every day in the United States than go to Muslim churches. Sorry, just a fact. But the Muslim churches in Minnesota certainly get a lot of press. Not a beat on the Muslims, but how about giving the Christians their due? There are a lot more people living normal lives. Nothing against the transsexuals. Let's put that down. Than there are transsexuals to begin with. A large group of people have no voice, while a small group of people are getting a large voice simply because that small group of people control the alphabet soup we call the media. Before I rolled you guys stories, I want to give you a very interesting article I read yesterday. and I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it. The Washington Post, New York Times, LA Times, many of them did a horrible job of covering the Charlie Kirk assassination because they didn't know how to react to the public on social media. They've lost their staff, or the people that write these stories. It's not an entity. Even CBS. Look at CBS. I'll throw that name out there. ABC. They're not very interactive on social media. They hire people to post. Kimmel left his 11 million people. No one human being close to Kimmel even interacted with the public. We, the grassroots, do. They've lost touch, but we think they have the bigger platform, and they don't. The stories Kurt is talking about next are more important to your everyday life than who the hell is on network TV that no one is watching at 11:30. Sorry, that's the fact. Charlie Kirk touched more lives every day than all three of the idiots that were on network TV at 11:30. Kurt and Scott, I'm going to let you roll to you here.
All right. Well, let's talk about the reactions with some of the people your tax money pays for in California and some of the people that you patronize. So, Scott, there's a doctor named Elizabeth Lewis, who's a pediatrician at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, treating children. And she celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. Is that the kind of doctor you want for your kids?
Is this a trick question?
Yeah, exactly. Stanislaus County Democrat Party was invited by the Republicans to join them in a vigil for Charlie Kirk. They said Charlie Kirk's a fascist, and they declined. Now, my dad was in World War II, and he was in boot camp in 1945 when they dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. He might have had to invade Japan if they hadn't done that. So he ended up in the American sector of Germany in the occupation right after the war. And they were still trying to kill Americans. Those were real fascists. Fascists are people that may allow nominal property ownership, but they're really communists. Remember, the Nazi Party in Germany was the National Association, the National Socialists. So, when they call us fascists, they're lying. And what they tell you is more about themselves than us.
No, I mean, I think that the left incites violence. Look at how many times Joe Biden referred to Trump and his supporters, us, as fascist, Hitler, dictator, taking over the country, stop free elections. He will continue to leave. He won't leave office once he's there. I mean, he couldn't. First of all, it bugs me that they sit there and they throw Hitler's name around so easily, degrading the evil and impact that he really had when they compare it to people that obviously don't have that same evil impact. And it's another way that they kind of crucify the language. But the fact that, hey, look, if you had a chance to kill Hitler in let's call it 1938, before they invaded Poland and Czechoslovakia, would you have taken it? Wouldn't it have been good? Wouldn't you be viewed in history as somebody who saved the world, even though they wouldn't have known that,
Well, you wouldn't have known, but yes.
So when the Democrat Party, the Marxist Party, sits there and refers to us as Hitler and dictators and the end of democracy and the destruction of the Constitution, you get some young idiot like Robinson, who allegedly killed Kirk, to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to be doing the world a favor by assassinating Charlie Kirk because he's Hitler. And that's what he takes away and learns from people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all of the Democratic leadership. Newsom is included in that, using that kind of language. And then they sit there and say, oh, I'm shocked that we have political violence. There's no room in this discourse for political violence. Bullcrap. If you incite the violence, you're not allowed to come and try and say that it's not allowed. That's like the arsonist handing a bucket of water to the guy who's trying to put the fire out. Bullcrap. You started the problem. It needs to be fixed. You need to shut your trap on using that kind of language. That's what it's going to take.
Yes, and I want to take a second though.
Well, Scott, there's another
Hold
one.
on 1 second, Kurt. I'm going to keep interrupting you before you get to these stories because I want this to sink in. Okay? Conservatives, people watching this show, we are tougher. However, it's amazing to me how tough we are in public, but how shy we are in digital. Hold on. I just put out on my feed, which is why you keep looking down, no 150 signs. No, no, no. Share the things. Don't, by the way, sorry guys to cut you off, but this really ticks me off. I hear this all the time. Well, I don't want to go into this Democratic social media group and share it because people will unfriend me. Scott and Kurt, you ready for a couple shockers? I've gotten to a few fist fights in
Wait a second. Let me put my shocked face on.
Yeah, there you go. I've had a lot of physical altercations in my life. Not going to at my age. You want to be tough? Go into those dens. Don't have to yell. You don't have to be like these rude expletive deleteds that Kurt and Scott are talking about. But start spreading no on 50. Start spreading these petitions. These people are sucked into this group because a lot of them are just like us. They literally don't know what's going on. We watching the show or doing this know what's going on. Many people don't. You have to get to the people that don't know what's going on. I'm asking you to share the No on 50. Every week, I'm going to ask you to take something and push it out. They could sign a petition. They could print it out and sign it and mail it in. They don't even have to go deal with the person who's the petition gatherer who may have not paid. Well, that would be ever and getting paid for signatures in front of Walmart. They don't have to do that. If you spread the stories that Kurt's talking about, why the electric rate's going up, don't just spread them to us, spread them to everybody. Go ahead, Kurt Scott.
Well, at Fairfax High School in Los Angeles, a public school, a teacher named Eric Travis openly called for more violence after the assassination of Charlie.
Is he one of the guys?
Think about
is
that.
he one of the guys?
That
showed the
idiot
video?
is teaching kids.
Is he one of the guys that showed the video of Charlie Kirk's assassination?
That was somebody else.
There were
a
a lot of teachers that did that.
He's calling for more violence.
Yeah, he needs to have his butt fired. He's working for a public high school. He's fired. Where are the balls of the people at IUSD?
This is your tax money, folks. At work. So what Mike just said is really important.
What's that?
Well, hold on, Mike. What Mike just said is really important. I'm saying why what you said was important. Everybody watching this video cast or listening later at your convenience, go get 10 people to vote no on Prop 30. You can ballot
50.
harvest. You can take their ballot in. You can have a party at your house, have everyone bring their ballot and talk about it. If we network and do that, we will defeat Prop 50, just as Mike said.
And get the petition signed. Folks, sorry guys to keep ranting about this. One of the things people ask, how did you get the recall on the ballot? Because you could tell I'm not that bright. Orin's slightly brighter than me, but if he were on the show with me, I could go, we're not that bright. 6 of us got it on there simply because we put it an 8.5 by 11. We empowered people and we digitally contacted them to print it out and mail it in. Sign the damn petitions that we are for. Tell everybody, go to a Democratic feed. Go to Elizabeth Warren, Alex Padilla, Gavin Newsom. Do you guys know I'm on the Gavin Newsom text? And they text me all the time, and I email them back. Obviously, I'm not going to convince the bots. Yeah, I'm hard on all about no on 50. Don't be afraid to tell everybody no on 50. Most people want to be in a district with their own neighbor. Go ahead, gents. Keep going. I've got too much to say on this.
Well, but there's
Hey,
some good news. Good news. There were memorial services for Charlie Kirk in San Clemente and in Huntington Beach over the weekend, and they were very well attended. You can see them
yeah,
online, but very well
tens of
attended.
thousands. It's
So,
it's
Mike, there's
amazing.
another issue that we need. There's another issue we need to be aware of. AB 495, the Steal Your Children bill that somehow got past the legislature, is now on Gavin Newsom's desk. Do you have any updates on that for our audience?
495's on Gavin Newsom's desk. Okay. I don't want to go too deep on it. It's a horrible bill, like many bills the Democrats pass. It will probably get challenged in court. But again, yes, the grassroots. I'm going to put a little, again, we started a movement here. Kurt, Scott, this happens because people don't vote. We elect leftist idiots by not voting. And we've all done it, not voted for 100%. We call it the undervote in the business. We're not voting. These morons that are writing these bills, many of them were, again, I'm going to pick on the Dodgers, were elected with less people than attend an actual Dodger game on a Wednesday night, than attend the Anaheim Ducks hockey game on a Tuesday night, because it's our job to make sure even the Republicans get off their butts and vote on the entire ticket. 495 is going to go to Newsom's desk. It should not be signed. It's going to allow for kidnapping. There are SB 79 that's out there, I believe is the right one, that's going
SB
to allow
72. We'll talk about that later.
Right. A tower to be built next to you with the city to have no input over your house. We're going to look like New York City. You can, and by
Well,
the
that's
way,
okay when they build the first one next to your house, Mike. Your property value goes up, and you find out who built it and sell your house to the same developer and get out.
but I don't want to leave. I want to live where I want to live. I like my state. That's why I'm here.
Well, but Mike, the reason the Democrats are winning is because of ballot fraud. They are stuffing the ballot boxes, and we need ballot in election.
Correct, which is a great lead in to why I'm working with Carl DeMaio and everyone out there, voter ID. Okay, you want to stop fraud? There's an initiative coming out within 30 days. It's on Reform California. Do contribute to Rebuild California, because we're going to be sending out over 2 million digital touches. We're trying to raise 20 grand to do that, because again, we need voter ID. 70% of the public agrees on it, but they don't know the petition. They don't know what to do about it. Grassroots, people out there, let's do something about everything that Kurt and Scott are talking about. Most of the public agrees. We're not that divided. We're just distracted. And I'm going to say that again. We're not divided. We're distracted. We're distracted by the evil which comes down from the mighty pulpit of the things that even I read, you read, all the people here do. But you have the power in your hand today that you didn't even have a year, 2 years, 5 years ago during the recall. We can beat them on every single one of these issues because we, the public, agree on it. Because Charlie Kirk asked people to talk to each other, he was assassinated. That's really what the crux of it was. I'm not even asking you to go out and do what I do, what Scott does, what Kurt does. We put ourselves out there. What I'm asking you to do is just share the information to everybody. Yes, we're going to see federal intervention. We're going to see all kinds of stuff. But let's start being proactive, not reactive to these idiots. Kurt, give us more stories here.
Well, just before we leave AB 495, a number of Christian and private schools will not enforce it and comply. They will immediately call law enforcement if someone tries to steal a child. And the parents, in contravention of the law, So there is a 100% chance we are heading for litigation in federal court. And this will become an issue in the next election. Democrats want your children and your grandchildren to be sold into sex slavery. That's the Democrat Party of today in California.
And it's going to, hold on, it's going to become an issue because we are going to get the CEO Act offering school choice so you can send your kid to school on the ballot. We can make it a votable issue. Again, it is a ballot initiative coming out. We did a show on this a couple months ago. Keep going. I'm
All right, let's talk about stealing farmland. Mike's favorite governor, Gavin Newsom, wants to try to write a bill that's going to take farmland away from all private landowners and distribute it to others. They want to use eminent domain to take land from the farmers and then give it to their friends.
So wait a second. Let me play devil's advocate for a second. How are they going to do that?
Eminent domain?
Well, they still have to have at least a semblance of a government reason to take the land.
Oh, well, it'll be sued in federal court and stop. But I think that's the plan of Democrats. They want to propose all this outrageous legislation and pander to the most radical elements of their base, knowing it's unconstitutional and the courts will strike it down.
Well, that's just like what's happening in the New York mayor's race with Mondani. He let slip, the part that you're supposed to say in secret because they're Marxist, is that they want to take the means of production. Literally, they're going to try and control our food sources. And of course, we know that we already know from Russia that centralized government doesn't work when it comes to things like farming and crops.
And one of Mike's favorites is the failed high-speed rail project in California. And the California officials $20 billion to waste on this project. Mike, what do you think about that?
Again, it goes back to a very simple thing. We approved $5 billion. They didn't get the job done. We, the people, approved $5 billion. They didn't get the job done. Stop the project. But however, we, the people, said we don't want to be taxed too much. And they're trying to get that $20 billion out of our posteriors. That's why we need to save Prop 13, which is why we have a petition out for them. And I keep repeating this,
So they have a very nefarious way of getting that $20 million. Explain to everybody how they're doing that. Right? They're doing the cap and trade carbon credit crap. They're saying that your evil fossil fuels are causing carbon, which destroys the planet. So they tax your fossil fuels. So that's why you're paying more at the pump. And then they take that money from that tax that they've raised and they put it towards things that are supposed to reduce carbon emissions, like this stupid high-speed train to nowhere. That's their excuse.
Yeah, the problem is, to cut it bluntly, you're absolutely correct. That's what they're doing. But has anybody noticed out there that the Democrats, the evil ones, they're not very good at math, Scott? And every time they think they have it figured out, they run out of money. They're not very good at math. So here's what they're going to have to do. You could give them another $50 billion right now that they tell us they're going to get from taxing Elon Musk on his name in California. It doesn't work out. The budget right now is $20 billion in debt because everything they want to finance. So what are they going to do? They're going to come after your home with property tax, with sales tax, with everything you're saying is correct. They cannot tax us enough because they're not very good at math, because they're scamming money.
Well, and they don't really care about. They really don't care about the climate. That's just an excuse. Look at the fire behind us in our background. If they put their money, just a part of that money, put $1 billion of that $20 billion into fire prevention, they would prevent more carbon from going into the air that goes in the air 3 days of wildfires that they would theoretically save with the stupid high-speed rail if it was up and operating, which it won't be.
Well, it's all about shoveling money to their friends and campaign donors. It's theft.
Absolutely.
All right. So
At
the next problem
100%.
we have is we're not teaching kids math and reading, Mike. The 12th grade reading and math scores hit a 20-year low thanks to teachers' unions and liberals.
Again,
Wait a
back to the
second. Do we just
CEO
go,
Act, New School Choice. And by the way, Kurt, you actually, and I talk about this a lot, gave the best defense as to why maybe we should make a rule that if you're going to serve in the state legislature, you should take a math and reading test, because many of them aren't actually reading the bills they're signing and apparently can't balance the budget.
it would
Oh my
So
God.
eliminate
I would
half the
think maybe
legislators. That would be good. Hey, that would be
Mike,
better
these
for term
people
limits.
are buffoons. That we have such stupid people representing us in the legislature. It's
But they keep getting
unbelievable how
reelected.
incompetent they are. They're
They keep getting
incompetent, totally
reelected.
incompetent.
We deserve what we get when we keep electing these nincompoops.
All right, guys.
Wait a minute.
Let's
Balance the budget. I mean, is that like balancing apples and oranges? I mean, they have no clue. All they know is they want more money for their pet project and their pet friends. Period.
and their friends.
Somebody else
It's
is going to have to
corruption.
figure out how to get it. All they know is they want it.
All right, guys, let's talk quickly in the time we have left about some of the awful bills that can become law and get your comment on where they are. We've talked about AB 727 that forces schools to advertise LGBTQ suicide hotline on the back of every student ID card. Mike, is that thing gonna pass? Is the governor gonna sign that awful thing?
Here's the funny part.
There's nothing funny about it.
No, what's funny is they don't have the money to fund the student hotline. Okay, that's a whole that we did this talk. I had articles written and did this on Netter News. By the way, subscribe to Netter News. And hold on, in my newsletter today was an entire newsletter on bad Governor Gavin Newsom. Google Netter News. The entire newsletter is devoted to it, which is exactly where I'm going. Kurt,
Next
if you
one,
or
assisted
Scott or me. Hold on. Let me
suicide.
finish this,
Okay,
here,
go ahead.
brother. If you call 911, the average pickup time in the major metropolitan areas like Oakland and Los Angeles is 4 to 6 minutes because it is
What?
underfunded and
Wait a
understaffed.
second, they don't even answer.
Look it
They
up,
don't even
Gary.
answer the phone and put you on
They don't
hold.
answer the phone.
They don't.
We don't have enough police officers. So I got news for you. They could print 911 or the suicide hotline on the back of these student ID cards. They don't have people
No,
to answer
Mike.
the
No,
phones
no,
and
no,
have
no,
a
Mike. It's not the government. It's the Trevor Project, a homosexual advocacy nonprofit whose number will be on.
Ah,
Well, then another evil,
no, I get
another
it.
evil NGO that'll get government money.
The Trevor Project is funded eventually by the government in some form. You have to have people to man these lines who are trained to answer it. They don't, enough of them don't exist. It's a BS scam. Go on.
All right, assisted suicide in California. That option was going to sunset. SB 403 will make that permanent. Assisted suicide. What's your comment on that, Scott?
Oh, this is physician-assisted suicide. So this is, I mean, face it, the Democrats are the anti-life party. They want to kill the babies before they're born, and then they want to have all these LGBTQ kids commit suicide because the suicide rate's higher for those people transitioning, not lower like they try to pretend. And then when they decide grandma is no longer useful to society, they want to off her so that she's no longer a burden to the family or society. I mean, surprise, surprise, the Democratic Party is consistently for death.
Here's the only way I will be for that bill, and I'm going to be facetious here, so don't quote this out of context.
Like they do for Charlie
I
Kirk.
am 100% for this bill if there is a requirement before it is put into action. The assisted suicide bill must be tried by Gavin Newsom.
He's got to demonstrate how it works.
He's got to demonstrate how it works. Then let's see how it goes for us. Look, at the end of the day, you can't have people just wanting to kill themselves because they're having a bad day. And that's, again, to your point, that's kind of what the Democrats are for, because the reality is they're going to pump our state full of people that can't vote, which are the so-called non-citizens, which are also basically illegal aliens. This is why the federal government's stepping in. Keep going. We got a few more minutes here.
All right, Mike. So the next one is they want to hide court records that would change the sex designation on a birth certificate and punish anyone who tells the truth about the actual sex of someone when they're born. So they want to commit fraud.
Obviously, it's obvious
SB
garbage.
59.
And by the way, the part you're slightly leaving out of that is not only hiding it, it would be up to the parents or the actual child to yes, indeed, under 18, under what they're proposing, to change that regardless of what the medical profession designates at time of birth. That leads, again, these are all BS rabbit holes affecting a small group of people. It will be used by criminals trying to hide themselves. Kurt and Scott, let's run down this list here in the few minutes we have left on the screen.
All right. The next stupid one is SB 418, where they want to mandate insurance coverage for trans drugs and surgeries when we know that these school shooters are disproportionately people who are transitioning, meaning they get cross-sex hormones. My view is doctors who castrate children and give cross-sex hormones to people should be thrown in jail. But that's another topic for another night. SB 418 mandates this insurance coverage. So that means you and I are subsidizing this nonsense and our insurance premiums will go up.
All right. Hey, let's go over Newsom's his report card up on the screen. So
he gets an F.
Yes, absolutely, he gets an F. So, highest cost of living. We even beat New York and Hawaii and Alaska. I don't have the numbers for that.
The what now?
I don't have the numbers for the highest cost of living.
Oh, the highest cost of living by far and away, which is related to the top poverty rate. Let me make it really easy. There is no category from housing to food to literally taxes to almost anything where these two are linked. I want to jump in 1 second. We have the highest poverty rate because we have not only the greatest percentage of people living below the federal poverty level, which is about 38,000 a year, but they have the adjusted level according to the state. That's why, the state, when it costs to live in the state, the cost of living, top poverty rate and highest cost of living are directly related. And by the way, it has risen about 35% since Gavin Newsom has been in office, and the Democrats have been in charge for a very long time.
Homelessness leader.
Well, when it says homelessness leader, not only are they the homelessness leader, they can't even account for the $20+ billion of money allegedly spent on homelessness in California.
Oh, but it did such a good job of spending that money that the homeless population has almost doubled in California since they started spending that money. So what does that tell you? It's a very effective program. You want more homeless? Spend more money. Top poverty rate we already talked about.
It tells me Californians, to go back to this again, there's 170,000 homeless people in California. It's a hell of a lot of people. 2 USC games.
Four.
This is a state of 40 million people. We, the people, have to have the will to understand we need to spread the roots of these problems, propose logical solutions at the grassroots level, and push it through. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. Keep pushing our message. Keep pushing our message. Repeat after me. Keep pushing our message. Push it to Democrats. Don't just tag the famous ones. Find the people who are bitching and moaning. Don't get into a fight with them on social media. Find the people. Email the people that you don't talk to, that you don't know if right or left. Push the message. These are solvable problems. Keep going.
All right. Highest gas prices. We didn't see our 60 cent a gallon increase that we were predicting this summer. What happened to it?
It's coming.
It's gone up incrementally. I've seen a 60 cent increase, but it's taken a couple of months.
I agree. And that's part of the cap and trade. They're taxing the petrochemical companies, the gas companies, and it's a hidden tax because we don't see that other than higher gas prices.
Let's also not forget gas has dropped nationwide, right? So we're still $1.50, $1.75 in the rest of the country. But Trump did a pretty good job. Sorry, liberals across the country, and gas prices have dropped. So part of the diffusion of our gap has gone up, but our actual price hasn't gone up because the price of oil is continuing to drop. Again, we're going to do when we have Tom Baccaro on next week, we'll talk about a little bit about oil policy.
Highest state debt. We're theoretically not supposed to have debt in our budget. It's supposed to be a balanced budget, but we have the highest state debt.
We owe the most money by far for pension plans,
per capita.
Deferred money. No, not just per capita. Aggregate per capita. Our rainy day fund. And there is no metric that you can look at California. Again, a whole other show before we run out of time. We are the 4th largest gross economy. We are the 11th to 14th largest net economy of the states in the United States. It's like saying I had great sales, but I forgot about the expenses. Back to you.
All right. And worst job growth, we already know. We also know that, hey, we had reservoirs that were dry. We had fire hydrants that ran out of water. And what is Gavin Newsom supposed to do about that? He had a $7 billion bond approved by the voters to build more water storage. Now, half of that went to the greenies for environmental, save the fishy stuff. But the other 3.5 is supposed to be for increasing our water source storage. What has he done about it?
Gavin Newsom and the other folks of any aspect of life, gentlemen, go ahead and finish your 2, and I'm going to wind it up here at 7:42. Okay.
So, Kurt, what has he done about water storage? He's decommissioned 4 dams, gotten rid of
How stupid is
gotten rid
that?
of reservoirs, so he's actually decreased our storage. We have no new storage planned to go online. I'm not even sure how far they are on some of the environmental studies necessary to do it. He is totally not funding our adding it, and he's using the $3.5 billion that's supposed to be for water storage to decommission these dams. And I'm sorry, that's just wrong. These reservoirs have been filled with water for a century, and all of a sudden, oops, we shouldn't have done that. We're going to empty the dam without providing alternative sources and storage first. The guy is an idiot. I do have.
Well, but the problem, Scott, is you actually think Democrats want to help us. They hate us. They hate our country. They want us to be unhappy. They want the quality of our life to be bad. That's what they're all about. This is intentional.
Scott, Kurt, I'm going to wrap it up. Here's what I want to make very clear to everybody out there. We cannot control what the evil people do. Nothing. Any one of us as an individual, maybe there were individuals that could have. Nothing we watching the show, I'm going to assume, could have prevented the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We can't control how an idiot thinks. What we can control for the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks, actually 4 months on the initiatives and things we're doing is what we as individuals do about it. Stop paying attention. Don't stop paying attention to the shiny object. You're going to. But start paying attention to the everyday grinding work that I do, Scott does, Kurt does, and much of the Rebuild California team does, and all the other great coalitions I work with. known as the grassroots, and start pushing the message out. I challenge each one of you to just do 25, that's 25 reposts a day of No on 50 and one other petition as they come out in the next 30 days. Just repost it. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, I don't care where the hell you do it. Start pushing the message out. We, the people of California, have the power through the invention of social media and all the other things we have to outstrip the viewership, to outstrip the collective intelligence, if you will, or the aggregate viewers or people paying attention to what we've been trained is the mainstream. We're the mainstream now, baby. And I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, what the hell you are, we're all Californians. And for the 99.9% of the Californians that think like we do, put down your television set, start looking out the window, and start telling people why things are the way they are and what they can do to change. Sign those damn petitions. Get the information out there to vote no on 50. We're going to pound this every week. We'll be back next week. Ain't no writer strike at our door, baby. Ain't no one going to censor us because we're California Free Radio and it's our damn state. And I plan to get the word out that we, the people of California, ain't going anywhere. Thank you. Good night. God bless. God bless Charlie Kirk. God bless everyone out there who wants to do something about not just preserving our way of life, but about preserving who we are for this generation and the generations before us. They fought for us. Get your butt moving and get something done tonight, tomorrow. 20, 25 actions a day. Whether they're posting or talking to people, I expect you to get something done. And trust me, I'm watching a lot of you through social media. Have a nice night. God bless. We'll be back next
Hey,
week.
I'm going to have one more ad. I'm going to add one of those assignments that you can do, like Mike was saying, is you see the name of the book that Charlie Kirk's written on the screen. It's Stop in the Name of God. That book has been written, it's being published, and it's in pre-order now. I think everybody ought to get out there and order copies, give them to your friends, give them to your neighbors. Let's sell 2 million of these things in a pre-order and show our support for Charlie, his wife, and Turning Point USA. Have a great one. We'll see you next week, guys.